You are owned, not by a boss, not by a government, but by a stranger's thumbs up. Every post you make, you check twice. Every silence online makes you panic quietly. That control has a name, and you have never once heard it spoken aloud. By the end of this film, you will watch a man refuse the entire world's approval and become untouchable because of it. You will learn how to convert hatred into raw fuel. This is not a mindset. It is a weapon he built with his own mouth. Skip this, and you keep performing for strangers who will forget you by morning. Learn this, and you stop asking permission to exist. One path ends in quiet exhaustion. The other path ends in Muhammad Ali. In 1964, a loud young fighter from Louisville stood in front of a wall of cameras and refused to be owned by anyone's opinion of him. Not the press, not the boxing establishment, not even his own private fear. Cassius Clay stood outside Sonny Liston's weigh-in, screaming that the bear was too ugly and too slow, jabbing his finger toward the champion's face while reporters scrambled just to keep their cameras steady. Days later, he floated around the ring on legs that seemed to ignore gravity entirely, and when Liston refused to answer the bell for round 7, the loudest mouth in boxing suddenly became its youngest heavyweight champion. Reporters crowded him afterward, furious, demanding he apologize for the boasting. He climbed onto the ropes instead, pointed at the room, and shouted that he had told them so, again and again, with a wide grin. The world calls that behavior arrogance. It is something else entirely. Call it the approval leash, the invisible cord that keeps a person performing for applause instead of living by their own private conviction. Right now, the approval leash runs straight through your phone. The algorithm rewards the version of you that flatters, agrees, and stays likable. Every unpopular truth you swallow tightens that cord a little more each day. Ali did the opposite, deliberately. He predicted rounds out loud, mocked champions to their faces, called himself the greatest before he had any proof, and let an entire country hate him for the boasting. He called this decision the villain choice. Play the part the crowd needs you to play, the loud one, the arrogant one, the one they can boo, and let their hatred fund the tickets while your real self stays untouched underneath. You make a smaller version of this choice every day. You stay quiet in the meetings so nobody thinks you're difficult. Ali built an entire career on being difficult on purpose and getting paid handsomely for it. Days after becoming champion, he stood before that same wall of microphones and announced a new name, Muhammad Ali, rejecting the one handed to him by a history he never chose for himself. Newspapers refused to print it for months. Broadcasters stumbled over it on purpose, mockingly. Old friends turned their backs on him in hotel lobbies. He kept saying it anyway, calmly, until the entire world had no choice but to catch up. Every act of self-definition arrives with a bill attached. Call it the rejection tax, the price paid the instant you stop answering to the name, the role, or the mask other people prefer you wear. You pay this tax quietly, in smaller currency. The moment you stop performing the personality your family expects or your job expects, some relationships get colder overnight. Ali paid his tax on camera. You are paying yours in silence. In the ring, he moved like something borrowed from an entirely different sport. Feet skipping sideways across the canvas, hands flashing low, head snapping back from punches that somehow never quite landed on target. He rhymed his predictions before the opening bell rang, turned press conferences into theater, made an entire nation quote a boxer the way they once quoted scripture. Confidence, delivered with rhythm, becomes almost impossible to ignore. You do not need a poem to borrow this trick. Say the hard thing once, clearly, with a small joke folded quietly inside it, and watch a room that was ready to dismiss you lean in instead. Humor, speed, rhythm. He weaponized all three at once, so that even his enemies found themselves repeating his lines in their own living rooms, laughing before they remembered they were supposed to hate him. Understanding a pattern once will not change you. Ali did not become untouchable from a single fight. He built it decision after decision, and that same repetition is what turns a casual viewer into someone who actually changes their life. That is why subscribing here is not a courtesy click. It is the first repetition, the decision to keep training this thinking instead of losing it inside a feed by tomorrow morning. Make that decision now, then come back for round 2. By 1966, he was untouchable in the ring, unbeaten, unbothered, the loudest man in sports, and, by most counts, also the most hated man in the entire country. He had built exactly the position he wanted. Being hated for words is one kind of courage. What happened next would demand a completely different kind, the kind that risks not applause, but a man's entire fortune, freedom, and future all at once. In 1967, a letter arrived at his home ordering Ali into the United States Army. During the Vietnam War, a formality the government fully assumed the world's most famous mouth would quietly accept without complaint. He refused, standing before reporters, citing his religious beliefs and his refusal to fight people who had never wronged him. Fully aware the sentence for that refusal could reach 5 years inside federal prison. Within hours, Boxing Commission stripped his title and revoked his license in state after state, and the same press that once mocked his mouth now printed the word coward directly beside his name. This is the exile wager. The moment a person trades everything they have already built, status, income, applause, for a single unshakable belief, with absolutely no promise the bet will ever pay off. You face a smaller version of this wager constantly. Speak the unpopular truth in the group chat, the meeting, the family dinner, and risk the comfortable belonging you currently enjoy without a fight. For nearly 3.5 years, he could not fight, could not earn a purse, watched his physical prime quietly burn away while giving speeches on college campuses just to keep the lights on at home. Letters arrived calling him traitor and worse. Old sponsors vanished overnight. Former allies crossed hotel lobbies just to avoid him. He kept repeating the same line in every interview, that he would rather lose everything than lie about what he believed. Call this the conviction ledger, the test that separates a real belief from a performed one. Whether you would still hold it after every single reward for holding it has been taken off the table. Check your own ledger honestly for a moment. The opinions you defend when defending them costs nothing, prove very little at all. The one thing you would keep saying after losing followers, income or approval, that entry is the only one that counts. In 1971, the Supreme Court finally overturned his conviction, unanimously, ruling that his objection had been genuine all along. 3.5 stolen years were never returned to him, only the right to say he had been correct. In 1970, before that ruling came down, with the war turning unpopular beneath him, Ali had already climbed back into the ring. Older, slower, carrying scars a younger champion never once had to carry. He had learned the final move by then, the hostility convert, taking every ounce of hatred aimed at him and burning it as fuel instead of flinching from it in front of the entire watching world. You can run this same convert this very week. The next time someone dislikes your boundary or your unpopular choice, do not shrink from it quietly. Let their discomfort confirm you finally said something real. Step out of this history for a moment. This next part is not about him anymore. It is about the leash currently sitting around your own life right now, today, while you are still watching this. Ask yourself plainly, right now, what have you not said this week? Because you were wearing the approval leash, waiting patiently for a permission that was never actually coming from anyone at all. Ask yourself who you have quietly become to avoid being disliked by people who barely know you, and whether that borrowed person could ever survive paying the rejection tax required to become someone real again. Ask yourself who actually benefits from you staying likable, agreeable, and quiet in every single room you enter. And notice how rarely the honest answer turns out to be you. Ask yourself the hardest one of all. If holding your belief cost you something real this month, income, friendship, comfort, would it survive? Or would you quietly fold it back inside the leash by tomorrow morning? Sit with those 4 answers honestly, right now, before continuing any further. Most people never do. That refusal to look is exactly how the leash stays invisible for an entire lifetime, unnoticed and unbroken. Here is the mission Ali would hand you if he stood in your kitchen right now. Not a philosophy to admire quietly from a distance. A plan to execute the next time approval starts pulling on the leash. Step 1. Before any decision, ask what you would honestly choose if nobody online could ever see it happen. Choose that version deliberately, every time. Not the performed one built for an audience of strangers. Step 2. Whenever you feel disliked for something true, resist correcting it by mourning out of habit. Let the discomfort sit, uncorrected, for at least 1 full day before you even consider apologizing for it. Step 3. Name 1 belief you would still keep, even if it cost you the entire room around you. If you cannot name a single one, that absence is the real emergency, not your follower count. Step 4. The next time you feel hatred aimed at a choice you made, do not flinch or rush to explain yourself. Run the hostility convert instead. Let it fuel you, rather than shrinking you. Somewhere in you, a voice is already arguing back, saying your situation is different. Your job is not boxing. Your family is not the whole country watching your every single move like his was. Ali heard that voice too, in a jail sentence that never arrived, in a title he lost anyway for 3.5 years of his physical prime. The excuse is always available. He simply stopped renting its space inside his head. The leash does not loosen because your reasons for wearing it are good ones. It loosens the day you stop asking it for permission. Nobody is coming to hand you that permission on their own. Take it yourself today. Before the final lesson lands, look at the screen now, below the description. One question waits there, not trivia. A real gut check on whether you would have made Ali's wager in 1967 or quietly signed the paperwork instead. Pause here, lock in your answer, then come back for the close. Ali was hated by millions and owned by none. Decide right now which one of those two sentences will describe the rest of your life. And if you choose the second, subscribe and carry that decision into the next round.